incarcerated individual, it really is important for all of us to see and acknowledge and understand the human impact of failing to reform our state's unjust sentencing laws.
Right.
And the impact is that it is borne disproportionately, actually, by women and by mothers. The majority of women who are incarcerated in New York are mothers themselves, but we also see the impact on mothers, of course, who are on the outside and their loved ones are incarcerated.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be this way. I want to note that I'm fully supportive of all three sentencing reform bills that we are here advocating for today. Focus on the second look at while I support all of these bills. In New York State, because of the Rockefeller drug laws of the 70s, the 1994 crime bill, we have a very harmful legacy when it comes to sentencing laws in New York. It is extremely important that we pass the Second Look Act so that judges can reconsider sentences that were unjust and not in the interest of justice. Egregiously long sentences that are being served by the children of mothers, by mothers themselves, by New Yorkers who deserve to have the chance to go to the court and say, my life has changed, my circumstances have changed, and I am ready to go home and contribute to public safety in my community. That is an opportunity that right now, too many New Yorkers cannot have under the law, and it's why it is so important, it is essential that we pass the Second Look Act. Let's do it this year. To pass and implement second look legislation. We don't want New York as a state to be left behind, and we cannot afford for our incarcerated loved ones to be left behind either. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Let's get it done. We have 3 weeks left.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, a handful of days.
Yep.
There are a lot of people who are counting on us. And when I saw the hands raised up saying how many of you have been impacted this Mother's Day, it reminded me that motherhood and children are a gift. And yet, there are too many mothers who miss their children, and too many children who miss their mothers. Woo. And we can do something about that.
Let's do it.
All of the bills in this package that Senator Salazar just mentioned are bills that can change the lives of families across New York. And the Earned Time Act, which I'm here to talk about, a very proud sponsor, my colleague, Assembly Member Pellis, allows us to have mothers and fathers, while they are incarcerated, not only earn the time to be able to return to their families, but to better themselves. So that when they are outside of the prison walls, they can provide for their families.
That's right.
That's what families are in New York. We talk about allowing people to heal themselves, to better themselves, to learn themselves, and then reunite in their communities with their families. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Right.
So I am here asking all of us to have a renewed sense of urgency. weeks is not a long time, but it is doable.
Yes, it
And
is.
this group here, as loud as we are going to get today, it has to continue day after day after day, week after week.
That's
Because
right.
we need to make sure that the Senate and the Assembly and that the governor's office does what's right
Yes.
for families and mothers across New York State, and we're going to get it done.
Thank you.
Next up is Assemblywoman Erica.
So one of the things that I feel like is my job when I come up here is to bring the energy to this effort as my form of respect for every single person here who came all the way from all across the state to show up, and they come every single time so that no one forgets that this is the right thing to do.
That's right. Woo!
The just thing to do. This is the logical thing to do. So first, I just want to thank everyone here.
Thank you.
Because we are standing together and we are not giving up. And we will continue to keep coming until every single one of these bills are done.
Yes, we will. Woo!
Because yesterday morning, I was able to take my mother to breakfast because it was Mother's Day. That simple of an act. I got to wrap her in my arms and tell her I love her. I got to feel my love for her and I got to get it reciprocated to me. And it improved my mental health.
Yes.
It set the week for me because I know who I'm fighting for. I feel it in my arms. And that's all we're saying. That we should be able to hold each other. That we should be able to lift each other up. That we need to remember that we are a community. And that's all we're saying is let the community live and thrive. When you look at these three bills, what are they saying? They are simply saying that we need to treat people like human beings. That's it.
Woo!
That we are saying that when we look at a person, we need to see them for who they are.
That's right.
Not the worst thing that's ever happened to them or the worst thing that's ever happened or done in their lives doesn't define them. Look them in the face, have a conversation. Who are you now? When we look at the Earned Time Act, we are saying we want to give a way for people to earn time off their sentence to come back into the community and teach others what healing looks like, what transformation looks like, what commitment to family looks like. Looks like. We need to make sure that people stop taking these bills and politicizing them for their own personal gain. It is unacceptable because they are playing with people's lives. They are playing with people's families. And the one thing we have seen over and over and over for the hundreds of thousands of children who have at least one parent who's incarcerated, that it affects their mental health. It affects their sense of self, their identity, their dignity. And we know that it leads to experiences over and over of generational poverty, of generational incarceration. So if we all believe in public safety like we all say we do, every single party of any color, of any creed, of any race, any religion should support every single one of these bills.
Thank you. Not cages. Not cages.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. Next up, Assemblywoman Epstein for
first Mother's Day.
Yay! Congratulations.
That's just one story. There are over 100 million children and mothers who weren't given an opportunity yesterday. That's what today is about. Today is about what James said, is making sure that in the next 3 weeks, we get this stuff done. There's so many families right now, older gentlemen and women, who spent enough time in jail, who are simply saying, bring them home. It's making sure we get this rebuild over the finish line. Harvey.
So let's talk about the reality. You hear people say, keep families together. We want to unify our families. A way to do that is to talk about these bills. Let's talk about sentencing reform. Let's talk about making sure mandatory minimums don't exist anymore. It is about looking at the whole person and their struggle. Mother's Day is about family, about togetherness, about unity. What message do we send if we pass these 3 bills right around Mother's Day? The message that we care about mothers, we care about families, we care about communities. And that's exactly what we're going to do when we pass these bills in the next 15 days.
That's right.
Next up is Senator Clear. Let's go, Marcy.
But you know what? Mother's Days, I've spent it right. I've spent Mother's Days at Bedford. Why? Because children should not be punished. And that's what happens when we keep mothers in prison. Are we so interested in being punitive that we would destroy children's lives? Every child needs their mother. And we have to make sure that we are bringing families closer together. If we would make the investment in childcare, if we would make the investments in education, if we would make the investments in job training, if we would really make the investment in rehabilitation, we wouldn't have so many mothers that are incarcerated. And we would not have a continuing cycle of families that are going through the justice system. It helps no one to keep families separate. And of all the families that I know, you know, another thing, there's an interesting statistic. Women in prison hardly get visited.
That's true.
Hardly ever.
That's okay.
No one brings their children to see them. Imagine years without seeing your mother. Imagine what that would do to you. So it is very important that all of the things that were said here today, communities, not cages, let's build our communities.
That's right.
Let's build our communities by making sure every person is fed.
Yes.
Let's make sure we're making sure everyone has health care. Let's make sure that mothers and fathers have employment.
That's right.
Not only before they go to prison, also when they get out. Let's make sure that that's what we're doing. Because people all want the same thing, and they are human, just like everybody else.
That's right.
They want to take care of their families. They want to take care of their children and their households.
Yes.
They want to be productive citizens in this community. But we have society that does not forgive. We have a society that perpetually punishes.
Yes.
And they don't just punish those individuals, but they punish the family members as well. And they make it difficult for families to reunite and for families to succeed. So we have to turn it around by passing all of these bills, every single one, and then some more that we have to get to. And I'm here to make sure that we continue to fight to get it done.
Yes,
Thank you guys so much. We are going to get these bills passed, and there is no doubt about it. Thank you guys.
Y'all just heard it directly from the assembly members. Y'all heard directly from the senators and the assembly members. They support these bills. It's important that y'all see that. A lot of people think that, you know, these senators and assembly members don't actually support the bills, but they do. They do support these bills. And, you know, it's important that we support them. It's important that we show some type of, because this is where laws are made. You know, these are where the laws are passed and made or changed. So it's important that we, you know, show our faces here in these buildings and make sure our voices are heard, and support, you know, all these different movements to decarcerate America. You know, this is a big thing that been going on since the 80s with the Rockefeller laws, and before that, they had black laws and Jim Crow laws. And, you know, we fighting against the system of bad laws, you know what I mean? That's where the whole fight is at. That's where a lot of our attention should be directed to, changing the laws, you know what I'm saying? People like these faces made these laws, you know what I'm saying? They gotta be great in the laws. And we gotta change that. We gotta change the narrative. That's very important, you know what I mean? But I just wanted to make sure y'all see that in real time, what the senators and the assembly members have to say about these laws. I'll probably be tapping back in with y'all later, but I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of heads up of what's going on. You know, with the laws being passed, the laws being changed, we're here supporting mothers that are in prison, mothers of incarcerated children, and children that are incarcerated. That's what we're here in Albany doing today. When y'all see these signs and stuff going up and you see support, you know, you can come out. Sometimes they have vans and buses that'll transport you and give you lunch if you need it. Support. If you see some organizations and you can't make it, you know, maybe donate some money to these organizations, because this type of stuff that it goes to, you know, normal men and women that you don't see, that you would never think is out here fighting for people, fighting for your families. If you have incarcerated families, you have these people out here fighting for your families. They don't even know. You got a mother in prison, you know, you got a family member in prison. You got people out here that you don't even know that's you know, fighting for you. So it's important to make sure y'all get this information. All right? Y'all already know it's Mr. Hood Love Mikey B. Peace. We locked in, y'all know.